On this episode of Innovation Ambassadors, we bring you actionable strategies and insights from AWS experts in the field of data modernization. Hear about their experiences in navigating large-scale, complex modernization initiatives, from decision frameworks to selecting the right database tools and services for your needs. Well, I'm excited to welcome Kwesi Edwards, Senior Manager for Data Migration and Modernization. Thanks so much for being with us today, Kwesi.
Thank you so much for having me.
And from our data migration organization, we have Doug Booth, Principal Go-to-Market and Business Development Specialist. Doug, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, in recent episodes, we've explored with customers and partners their journey in leveraging generative AI technologies to bring exciting new solutions to their end customers. And what we see is that when customers use their own data to improve and customize those Gen AI models, they're able to create solutions that are really unique to them and understand their business and their customers, their products, their operations, right? So today we're going to dive a little deeper into exploring data modernization strategies to help customers set up for success in the Gen AI world. So Kwesi, can you first help us understand what data modernization even means and what your role is here at AWS in helping customers in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited. First, data modernization really at its core is about having all the data in the right place and in the right form so that you can leverage it for transformational activities, Gen AI, and others. But what do we mean by the right form? In many cases, it needs to be in a cloud or in an area where you can have enough scale, low enough latency. You need to have the right security and controls around it. And then you have to have data in the right format. So whatever Gen AI applications you're talking about, whether you're leveraging Amazon Bedrock or other foundational models, it needs to pull from data. And that data really has to be well formed and in the right areas. So having a modern data foundation really is about modernizing your data infrastructure into the right form for that. And what is it that I do with that as a senior manager within our worldwide go-to-market team? Focused on data migrations and modernizations, or D2M for short. Our team works backwards from customers' goals. And our missions are to incubate and scale programs that help accelerate their data migrations and the modernization journey. Being the original go-to-market specialist for our program that we call Database Freedom, this was a program that was specifically help customers follow the process and best practices learned from Amazon's journey and the modernization project that Doug and others worked on.
Fantastic. It's a perfect segue, Doug, into you and your role. So you have a unique history in that you were on the account team for Amazon.com when Amazon.com was running a large-scale modernization initiative. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I spent the first 5 years of my tenure on the team that supports Amazon as a customer of AWS. They are a customer, and we spent a lot of time helping them with various projects and initiatives across many of the AWS services. I did spend time on one of the S-team goals that we had, which was, going through a modernization on our databases and moving off of commercial into managed database services on AWS. There was about close to 7,500 databases that had to be moved in about a 3.5-year window. We spent a lot of time working backwards, working with the customer directly, because they were doing the migration on top of their existing workload. Mm-hmm. So they had to fit it in and find a way to get it done and commit to a date within that 3.5-year window. They could get it done. And we spent a lot of time with them learning, figuring out some cultural things as well. So we have a lot of different learnings that are both technical and some that are not technical. They're more about people.
Definitely. We find that often in any technology discussion we have. It often comes around to also culture, people, organization as well. Kwesi, zooming out, you can walk us through some of those best practices of successful modernization initiatives. What are some of those patterns you see not only from early learnings from Amazon.com, but also from other customers that you work with?
Absolutely. It really starts with aligning that strategic vision to that modern data foundation. So whether you're like this media entertainment company that wanted to roll out a streaming platform for billions of users, you were that sports organization that wanted to better align with their fans and provide better data and insights around that, or that financial company that wanted to modernize their application to reduce costs by eliminating commercial licenses, reducing about 60% of the costs associated with that, making sure that that modern data foundation and the modernization efforts are aligned to that. And we have a number of programs that can help customers with that, starting with working backwards, that can allow you to align with those particular goals. It's really important that the modernization activities that you start with really align with that strategic vision.
That really resonates, Gracie. I think we see that so often. And in your new role, you, of course, are working on data migration services and tooling, et cetera. Maybe you can share a little bit about that technical side of modernization, and then we can get into the people side as well.
Yeah, you bet. We have a lot of great purpose-built databases, and a lot of times it's about, well, how do I get there?
Yeah.
How do I reduce the human level of effort to get there? And so today I work as go-to-market business development for both database migration service and database migration accelerator. The service is really about the tooling. So DMS, it's also referred to, is our migration tooling, our schema conversion, and a lot of automation. Database Migration Accelerator is the people side, the ones that will help our customers understand their workloads, the level of complexity, help them with a migration plan, and their options for implementation. Often it starts with one. You got to start somewhere. You don't have to get overwhelmed by a big number of workloads. You got to start with one and you got to learn and be really, we feel experimentation is important, learning how to fail and learning from that failure and projecting it toward your win is really something that is close to us. And so we do encourage folks to, hey, try it out with one. What can we learn from it and see if it is a fit for their organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Starting and building on this success is so important, isn't it, Gracie? Maybe you can talk a little bit about the frameworks that we use to start folks on their journey and then continue towards realization of their business objectives.
Absolutely. After customers develop that strategic vision, they need to provide a decision matrix and choose the right projects to work with. At Amazon, the decision matrix was really based upon the mission criticality of the application. Was the current application meeting your needs? And then choosing the right project is really about finding something that is not the easiest thing to get done, where most of the applications start, but is complex enough to prove the feasibility of it and has enough value. So if I double click and go a
Mm.
little bit deeper with that, maybe the application isn't meeting the needs and it needs to really be re-architected. Like in the case of Amazon, they moved from relational databases over to DynamoDB, which is a key value database. Some find that the analytics infrastructure isn't meeting their needs and they need to move to some of our purpose-built analytics solutions, which include things like Redshift and our AWS data lake. Or sometimes that data isn't even in the right format. It may start relational, but really is better off in a NoSQL database or even in something like Neptune, where you have a graphing database infrastructure. So we talk about having data in the right format. It starts with that decision matrix, which aligns to something that is understandable for your business stakeholders and then maps to a technical architecture pattern, which has a specific modern data infrastructure component as part of that.
And Doug, some of the services that your team works on, of course, helps with the tooling to make that happen. I'm wondering what you see from customers choosing which database to use and how they think about their strategy.
We often, through the database migration accelerator, help them with a lot of that, including their future state architecture. If I take a look at Amazon, the teams got to choose anything they wanted other than one product. Most of them picked an RDS product in Postgres And also, when Aurora became available, same thing. Aurora allows for the higher performant instance types, the redundancy, the high availability. So if they had database of certain size, they would go to that. But Aurora wasn't available right out of the gate. And so a lot of teams went to RDS, and then they upgraded very easily upon Aurora's launch. Aurora's the fastest growing database product that we have of all time, and it delivers. Now, in the mission criticality, if you were a certain type of top tier service, you support Prime Day in a certain way. Dynamo was something that teams also chose, and they went non-relational. Often they would dive deep, uh, look at cost of value, and then potentially, like in one of our case studies for our workflow system team, they went from a forecast of over 60 to 80 to 100 to 120 weeks over a 4-year period just to scale for Prime Day, to scale the commercial for Prime Day.
Mm.
In the case study, what we learned from an outcome is now today, regardless of the scale of the event coming at them, regardless, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks. That's transformational. That's a big mover. But the investment was 9 months of rebuilding. That's the cost of value. If
Mm.
we do 9 months here, we get out of in perpetuity scaling, which doesn't add a lot of business value to the customer. It's still a fragile environment. Now we can scale up and down, and the and down's the important part of that. For the largest events held online in the world, and once we're done, we can scale it down and minimize waste. So a lot of great options, but most of the teams on their own picked these products based on the performance, but also the similarities to some of the commercial solutions they had already worked on. And so with some cheat sheets on commands and codes, we were able to help them get a lot further faster and not be as challenged with change and to make change a good thing.
Yeah, we often talk in this podcast about democratizing the idea of innovation and experimentation, and that sort of invention and failure being inseparable twins. Kwesi, I'm sure you see stumbling blocks and areas that are challenges in our customer journeys beyond Amazon and into the other customers that you mentioned. What are some of those key stumbling blocks, and what are those best practices that we found really help remove those?
Digital transformation and modern data foundation really allows organizations to do things that they just couldn't do before, whether it's AI generated customer reviews or other ways that they're augmenting and improving their application. But that does not come without experimentation. Can we lower the cost of experimentation? Can we fail fast, as we say? I think is really important. So choosing the right project that has the right return on investment and has the right ability to demonstrate what is possible is important. Understanding that you're going to design for failure. So design quickly, have the ability to roll back very quickly in certain areas, and then make sure that you're capturing the best practices from those failures so that when you finally move forward, you are right a lot with the future state architecture that you move forward with.
Doug, I'm wondering if you have any lessons learned from your own journey in working with Amazon.
We have a lot of them. One of them is we learned a lot, and those became feature requests that are in our services today. And so a lot of customers today don't realize it, but they're benefiting from some of the pain that Amazon went through. And, listening to the customer is paramount. And we learned so much from it. Our products are even that much better today. So we really appreciated that. We did learn there's a lot of reasons why not, and a lot of reasons why. And that, though maybe the reasons why not can seem like a very tall list up to the moon, the reasons why just gravitationally outweigh everything combined. And there are a number of different reasons that, consider going into something like a managed service. Like, why would you do it? What do you get for it?
Right.
And a lot of folks will hear, well, like, why move to manage? Why modernize? Well, the database administration is a big component of that, will no longer be required because it's a managed service. And so it's, what do I get from going to it is, even automated patch management. All these things are included that the customer had the burden of doing, and now it's always covered. No more refreshing the data center. You just pay and consume versus worry about all this undifferentiated heavy lifting. When you get to the key component of it is why do something that's automated when I can get it automated at the same or lower price? That's one of our keys to innovation is not doing things over and over that don't add value to our customers.
Right.
Administration is important. It has to be done, but how it's done can change and it can really create a lot of room for innovation.
Not only innovation, but also creating that operational excellence, right? So that you're reducing manual errors, et cetera, as well, right? You mentioned case studies, and
Mm-hmm.
Quasi, this is something I think you were alluding to as well, is this notion of kind of starting small and celebrating those successes. Is that one of the lessons that we took out of some of the work that we've done with customers is capturing how we capture that knowledge going forward?
Absolutely. And there's a variety of ways that customers are capturing it, whether they're recording the best practices internally, whether they're using, technologies like wikis to share that. That's really important. A lot of best practices come outside of the community or come from Amazon, but aren't specific to any individual organization. When I found organizations that have had that centralized organization, that has captured those best practices and determined the best ways to make some of these modernization choices for their particular organization, then all the other groups that within the organization they're trying to do something similar are able to do it faster and with lower risk.
And I love that. And then back, Doug, to the tools that you create that codify those in actual automation, right?
Yeah, we want to reduce that human level of effort. And the tools that we have through DMS, uh, one of the components is a schema conversion tool, which automates the conversion of the schema, which can take a really long time. And when we were doing this back, from 2015 up and, to through 2018, DMS was not the tool it is today. We got so many feature requests from Amazon that helped it become that much better. And so it's often today that you can get a very high 90 percentile conversion rate. Every percent matters and equals human level of effort. And so we always try to focus on automation. Generative AI is something that we are working on now and incorporating into the product. And we'll have more to come on that down the road. And really it's about hitting the easy button is where we're trying to go.
Right.
How can you hit an easy button? And a part of what I do is take those lessons learned, work with our current expertise and software tooling service. And our goal is to always get better, to always release new features, like Fleet Advisor, which can look at a whole set of the entire business of all their workloads and deliver a project plan in a few days versus weeks or months. We're really working hard to deliver new features and listen to our customers to learn even more about what we need out there in the market.
Kwesi and Doug, thank you so much for being here. I'm wondering if you have some reflections that you would share for our customers and listeners who might be undertaking a modernization journey, what you would share with them as advice.
Obviously, make sure you align with your strategic vision. Make sure that you architect for failure, because failure and invention are two sides of the same coin. Make sure that you capture the best practices that are on there and celebrate successes.
Doug, how about you?
A lot of our customers have migrated, including Amazon. It's very possible. We have the expertise and the tooling to help make it easy for you. Sometimes it starts with just one workload. Just start with one. Many of DMA's customers wanted to try out one workload. Not every one of them, one. One can become five can become 10 very quickly. And then hold those successes up high. Take the learnings from them, look at where you struggled, look at what the outcomes were, and make sure to measure what it was like before versus what it's like now. You'll find that in that measurement, some really, really excellent numbers are in there that benefit the business. Let's not forget about operations. Training is always important to any business. Many of our customers have been through years of training on all kinds of different topics. We have a lot of different programs for training, and we want to make sure that everybody has the benefit of learning instead of this expectation that we're just going to do this. Let's remember the culture and the learning.
that skills development and this concept, that we have as one of our leadership principles at Amazon is learn and be curious, and being sort of lifelong learners as technologists. If we were to rest on what we learned in college or, our first job
Right.
programming or what have you, we wouldn't be where we are today, right? That excitement of Gen AI is a great example of us all needing to learn new skills and then apply those to the benefit of our customers. So I really appreciate that mindset. Um, Tracy and Doug, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your insights and stories with us.